Hello, I am Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz August 30, 2015, 1:55 a.m. in Birmingham and 13 days in counting to Harbinger. Uh, Topic: more Pope information, more information on how to protect you, and there's a lot more stuff coming, guys. So let me talk first about what the Pope is bringing. And I knew the Cern clatter would reach its peak at about the 15th of September. And then they'll probably know pretty much what's going to happen about that time. And I'll tell you what else I heard. And I'm trying to remember where I heard it. Maybe I didn't, but I know it. So I'll get to that. And then the Pope also talk about global warming, Cern clatter, the New World Order, New World Currency, Pope's view. He said the Jews need to give up the Temple Mount and go back to 1967 borders. The Pope is insane. He is. I mean, that man's insane. I already knew he was an idiot, but to talk about this, he's just a bigger idiot. But let me tell you, on the Cern clatter, something that I ran into, again, I don't recall where it was, but it was recently. And several people there, it's almost like they can see through this veil. They can see through it, but they can't make out the images behind it. And to look in the veil is like, it's like this. But they didn't do that. They just they just stuck their head in or their hands but what came out was so fast that no one saw it. And they're still pondering, well, what can we do here? We have hardly 2 seconds left. They know that their time is very limited down to the seconds. And your mind can think a lot in a few seconds, and then you miss an opportunity. But if they reach inside a veil and try to move it as such, then what's there can come out. Again, time will slow down for us. I mean, like very slow. We won't know it. I mean, it'll be like our 4, 5, or 6 seconds had gone by, but in reality, 2 hours went by. And not in our reality, but in reality of what's behind the veil. So when they did this, a lot of beings came out. It's like a curtain is open, and it's like they're driving cars through, but they came out, and they came out. Now, I don't know what's behind the veil, because I do know of the talk that I've heard about portals. And the one that still stands out of my head is the one in the northwestern Canada, where a man from a distance, not far, 150 feet or something like that, 200 feet, watched these beings fly in and out of a portal. He described them as over 6 foot tall. He says 7 to 8. He said when outstretched, it could have been 9, but he said they had wings, a leathery body, and didn't have the head of a man or the head of I'm trying to think, a lizard or anything like that. It had a head with more of a snout on it. And it had a pair of horns, and his feet were like flat with claws, and so were hands. This is what a guy claims he saw and watched, and it terrified him. Also, the government from Canada and the government from America was there. Parts of government that's apparently knows more about this than everyone else. So that happened there. And then just moments ago, I hear now talk about the collider, Cern collider, that the Pope's bringing, and the New World Order, which previously I didn't know about that, and the one world currency. But I heard back a few days about the Pope wants the Jews to give up the Temple Mount and then go back to 67 borders, which again is not going to happen. And I'm going to say this, there's going to be a lot here that you'll need to be protected from. A lot. And could all this start happening in the month of September? If it does, then I say there's a very high possibility, if not a probability, that a rapture could be very near. Doesn't mean that it has to be in September. Doesn't mean it has to be in October, November, or December. But if things get bad, if this portal releases or this Cern collider releases things, and if America crashes, the stock market drops in half, I heard talk today that it would go from where it is now, which is sitting at about 16.5 or something like that, maybe 17, that it could drop in half. If it's 16.5, you're talking about 7.75, and 7,750. But if that happens, this country crashed. And I mean crashed, and when it crashed, it's on fire. And what can happen if we continue where we are right now? California on fire, part of Washington on fire, parts of the country is absolutely drying up. We are fine. This midsection of America, we have an abundance of rain. We're still getting rain 2-3 days a week here, good rains. My yard, it's like the third straight year that I have not really watered it much. It stays green. But out California, they're painting the yards green, or they're putting out indoor-outdoor carpet, a green carpet. And but so much can happen if the stock market goes half. Everyone has lost. The banks will close. The market will close. And it could be an undetermined length of time. And if the banks close, then I'm going to say at that time, then everyone has lost their retirement, whoever's got money in the bank. I think it's still a great idea to have as much money as you can in your hands rather than there. If you can find any silver coins, bag of coins, a 5-pound bag, 10-pound, buy it. Get what you can. Get as much as you can. And if you have property, if your house is paid for, good. If you own a lot that's paid for, good. If you have a painting, an expensive painting that's paid for, good. Anything that's hard assets that's paid for is good. Anything on paper is simply that. It's on paper and it's of no use, and it probably will never be of use to you. I can see America before October gets here. We will know where we're headed and how bad it's going to be. And if all these things happen I mentioned to you, then the possibility is highly likely that we will have the Christians removed, taken out. Jody Wolf Expoz.